Chris, how was your pee break?
My pee break.
They might flash you.
Random, baby.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for having me. Quite an intro.
Let's address the elephant in the room. That's not the elephant in the room. There's no elephant. Nobody cares.
I, too, am a thought criminal.
Good. Well, I like you already.
Does this look like a girl who's joking around?
No.
Around?
But how much do you actually understand money? Especially the new wave.
Beauty or intelligence? When you unleash both, it is men's kryptonite. Welcome to Talk to Me, Taylor. All right, everybody. This episode is already nothing short of chaotic as I came in here and in the middle of the countdown, which was, I don't even know, it was like the New Year's Rockin' Eve ball just literally gone awry and gone wrong. I came out the screen, I was like, fuck. Like I was at a Starbucks 2 seconds ago. I'm trying to load videos in here. So this is off the cuff as it gets. And it's Friday. What can I say? The only thing that I'm regretting is not having a nice little shot of whiskey in my little Van Gogh shot glass. You know, I pride myself on. Instead, I'm a little overachiever with my Penn State Tervis and water. But we're going to just go raw dogging into this. Okay, we're going to go just balls out. So guys, everybody is talking about, they're having the great speech debate around Jimmy Kimmel. Jimmy Kimmel's speech has been taken away and and what are we going to do? And just at the face of it, how crazy that it's like, this is the reckoning of these people's own making. Somebody wrote that to me in DMs, like the fact that this is a product of their own making and they're crying. But as you all may know from my janky countdown and beyond, that I was in the Hollywood machine as a big bit of a big bald ball buster. And I saw cancel culture percolating the precipice and was really calling it out from the inside. The censorship, the punishment, all of it. And boy, do I have stories for you. So I thought, this Friday, we're all kind of unraveling our brains from the pretzels that they be. Like my brain is still on a pretzel, by the way. It's like a bad Kama Sutra sex position that nobody asked for. It's all tangled up in there. And I'm going to go down memory lane because I thought, I'm seeing all of this play out. Again, I'm seeing everybody, like I'm seeing all of these celebrities literally be like, the Babylon Bee, by the way, is killing it. They're like, in memoriam and vigil for the life of Jimmy Kimmel, and all of these celebrities being like, I stand with Jimmy and free speech. And just at the face of it, again, it was like in the show yesterday where I revealed in the very big breaking, I look like a T-Rex, I look like Giada De Laurentiis with these little arms here. That's how cash I am talking to you all. I'm like, so guys, may as well have my whiskey like we're at the bar. I'm seeing all of them, like I said, at the face of it, almost like if it wasn't so sad, it would be funny, but it's both. Like I said yesterday, when I revealed and made the big bombshell news that I'm the first, Jewish female, pro-free speech, fascist. It's sort of like that. It's like the fact that, again, if it weren't so sad, it would actually be funny. But that I'm seeing in droves, all of these celebrities like post in solidarity. There's like boycotts happening outside of Disney, like as if we literally just saw like Mickey Mouse himself get lynched. Like I don't even know. And yet when we saw Charlie Kirk get assassinated in front of our eyes, again, regardless of how you felt about him, and I said this at the time, he represented free expression, free speech, conversation, welcoming it warmly. The fact that he was shot dead on a stage for expressing himself freely, again, just what that represented and embodied, and they had nothing to say. Nothing to say. Maybe a few of them, Chris Pratt, Josh Duhamel, Kid Rock, which is the usual suspect. But like now we're seeing this. It's like, it's literally, BLM walked so this shit could run, And it's just it's just quite chaotic. And it is just, it's like satire that writes itself. I don't even know. But either way, I thought, they're all talking about this is his speech. I even saw Jason Bateman on an interview this morning be like, it's quite frightening. It's quite chilling. They're all using that word chilling. This was his free speech. And so, again, as somebody who was shouting from the rooftops about all this from inside the machine 6-ish years ago, when it was all starting, no one else had the balls to talk about it at the time. I thought, let's bring the people in, on this magic carpet ride from a hellish landscape. I don't even hellscape. Okay. That is Hollywood amnesia. So I posted today, and this is what I was trying to do, like a really bad IT guy as the countdown was going on. But what was really concerning to me was, yes, that people were getting deplatformed in Hollywood. They were already, like, people were watching their backs, they were already losing agents and opportunities and whatever it was. Like, I don't even know anymore. Literally, I don't know if I suppressed it. You guys know the drill. Whether it was old tweets, whether it was a joke, whether it was not standing up for something, I don't even know. But for me, what was really concerning was comedy, was seeing comics getting reprimanded and punished, so to speak. Because comedy, like, if we don't have comedy, we don't have shit. Like, we literally may as well be in the bleakest dystopian fucking Soviet Union nightmare if we don't have comedy. Like, that is the one place. Like, once that's shut out, we got a problem. That is the one place where you can really air out and shed light on all of the political incorrectness and the taboo and the uncomfortable parts of society. So I interviewed on a red carpet Ray Romano. And sure enough, it was when all of this was kind of just starting, and I was seeing the writing on the wall, and I did not like it. I did not like it. My Sabrina the Teenage Witchness was not having it, because I say that because one of the women I interviewed on this carpet for comedy that night was one of the aunts. And she was super vocal about it too. She was like, you have to have freedom of thought, diversity of thought, all of that stuff. And she said it so well. I wish I wasn't brain dead right now. But I interviewed Ray Romano there, who is an icon in his own right in comedy, whether he's your brand or not, with Everybody Loves Raymond, of course. And so I want to preface this by saying that when I talk to him about it, you can even see how uncomfortable he is. Because it just may not be his personality to be brazen, like, let's talk about this shit, like a Ricky Gervais, who's a legend, or a Dave Chappelle. But because at the time it was so heightened and it was so taboo, the fact that I was even bringing up cancel culture. Because at the time, Hollywood was like, it was the thing that it was like, no, they need to be punished and censored because it's like, we're doing the right thing and it's social justice and all that shit, right? So you can tell that he's like shook that I'm even kind of bringing it up. And I was so nervous too on the carpet. And, they just definitely had a like Hollywood's Most Wanted out for me, because I would be on these carpets, but asking what we were really thinking and wanted to know about this climate, whatever it was, like what was going on socially and, in the zeitgeist. And they didn't like it because I would not be like, so how is your latest movie? I would throw them these real kind of curveballs. And so I was always on watch. I was always on notice and kind of keep them, not, I want to say on edge, but on their toes, whatever. So I asked Ray about it, and I want to pull up for you what he said. And I want to just show you why it's so striking in the backdrop of what's happening now with Jimmy Kimmel, because it's another kind of like gray nuanced area. Hold on, hang with me. Let me see if I can bring this up. Hold on, guys. Don't you go anywhere. Let's see if I can do this. Oh man, I don't know if it's going to let me. I really wanted to show you it. Should I just show you on my phone? Is that like cheesy? You know what? Fuck it. Maybe that'll work. Here, let me see. Let's see here. It's not my first time. Like, I played for you that voice memo yesterday. Okay. So you can see at the time, again, this was 2019. And you can see that I'm really concerned of the group thing starting to happen. And if a comic, like that's what comics do, they're supposed to make us uncomfortable. I I recounted this. I saw a comedy show here in Nashville a couple months ago, and the guy made a Hamas comment, Hamas joke, and it was like, the Real Housewives of Hamas. Like I hear it's the latest thing, and I was the only one, being the Jewish woman who's so outspoken about this, who busted out laughing. And I even told him after, like, that was hilarious. And he's like, I don't know how it would go over, but that's the point. It's like it's supposed to take the most uncomfortable things and spin it on our head and like make it okay. And like I said, air it out. So the fact that comedies hit, it's like, that's what's so concerning. Anyway, here is my story time show and tell. Hopefully none of my nudes pop up. That's going to be the kind of stuff you have to pay for now with Ray Romano. Okay. I hope that you can see it. Let's see.
Let's bring it back.
I'll say a curse word tonight.
Hang on. Sorry.
Ray, let's bring it back.
I'll say a curse word tonight.
Does it make you sad when these comics are getting canceled?
They're getting canceled for jokes that they've told. That to me seems harsh. You have to be able to push the envelope. Otherwise, no one will take a risk. Every comic will be me, and that is boring.
Do you think, like, what if I'm canceled?
What if you slip and say something?
Totally.
Yeah, sure. That's where we are right now. Some people believe it's either all okay or it's not, or none of it's okay.
It's groupthink.
Yeah.
It's scaring me, Ray.
Yeah, Don Rickles was the sweetest, warmest guy. He was one of my favorite comedians of all time. His act was...
Risque.
Yes.
He wouldn't deserve to be canceled, you're saying, like now.
I mean, I don't know. It's hard to say. It's a different world now.
I want to go back to the good
But
days.
it'll be all right. It'll be
Lastly,
fine. It'll level off.
He's like, all right, bitch, chill. No. But I love what he said, right? How he's like, you have to be basically what he was saying is, we're making everybody so afraid and punishing them that no one is going to take a risk, i.e. evolve, move us forward, push the boundary, be cutting edge. And he's like, you basically will be vanilla and boring like I am. And I thought that was so, like, especially in light of what is happening now. Because again, at the time, this was like accepted, it was perpetuated, and now all of these people are crying tears and like literally doing a statue vigil, like I said, for Jimmy Kimmel. Now, I want to make this so clear, and I want to kind of like put it out to you guys too, right? Because this is where it gets like so confusing, where we literally don't even know our own reality. But to me, I obviously have been such a fierce advocate for freedom, expression, comics, all of this. And the part that just has me bamboozled, cut to now, is when I see all of these people. They could be actors, they could be, Congress people, governor, all these people who are so upset about the Jimmy Kimmel thing getting suspended. If you don't know, if you're living under a boulder, from ABC for his comment about Charlie Kirk and MAGA, basically. He said that MAGA was just really trying to like profit off it and pretend that the shooter like wasn't one of them and that they created it and all this, which is like completely false, right? But the fact that they're trying to like straight up Kris Kringle wrap this up in a bow that is a joke, and they're all saying like, oh, now it's dystopic, now this is authoritarian, now this is a dictatorship, like a comic can't even make jokes. And this is the part where it's like, when I hold it up to what was happening then, when I interviewed Ray Romano, how you had all of these people silenced, losing their platforms, losing their sponsors, getting shunned, getting publicly scorned for actual jokes. And now they're putting that lens on this as like wrapping it again as if this were a joke. And I love what Stephen A. Smith said, because he was like, where was the joke? Like, where was the joke, right? And that's the thing. I'm not saying that comics should only have freedom when it comes to jokes, but at what point what part of it, what he said was a joke? And again, I said this yesterday, but it's in such a heightened, time when everybody is reeling and broken. And he went on and just instigated again with a lie that's part of this just insidious, really sick problem. what part of that was a joke? And at what point do we go, okay, yes, like have all of the freedom for jokes? And I'm not trying to be the arbiter and I'm not trying to be the police here, but it's like a one that every step you take, they're watching you. No, fuck, they really are watching you though, or they were with cancel culture, which they conveniently forget now. Okay. But that's the thing. It's like, no, but it was just a joke, like a comic doing comedy. And that's where it's like, what? Like, again, what part of that was a joke? Like, yes, comics have all the freedom in the world as they should to make jokes. Again, I'm not saying they shouldn't have freedom outside of that and should be muzzled and just shouldn't speak up about anything ever. That's not what I'm saying. But like, don't pretend that that was a joke because it's not a joke. So, like, what? And then again, like, you guys were actually mad when people were just making jokes, but they were jokes you didn't like. And now you have this, which is such a like flat out baseless lie that's political and all this. Like Johnny Carson, such a class act legend, could never. And you guys are like, hey, it's just a joke. Like that to me is like, make it make sense. Make it make sense. And I don't know, maybe you guys disagree with me. I feel like I'm not crazy. I took this to Instagram. And so many of you, like, you're like, I can't find the joke. Can't pull in a Stephen A. Smith. Like, where's the joke? Haven't found it. Like, it wasn't a joke. There was no joke. So that's my thing is like, don't. Speech is speech, absolutely. And it was Jimmy Kimmel's free speech, and he's absolutely entitled to that speech. And like I said, I don't think he should be fired for that. Even if ABC made the call, he's alienating audiences, sponsors, da 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 da. It's like, let the show and his bad jokes flail on its own. I don't think he should be punished for that because, like I said, cancel culture is just cyclical. But like, don't pretend like it's a joke though. Like there was no part of it that was even like, maybe it's a joke. Like it just wasn't. So again, maybe you guys disagree. Like, is it up to us to be like, it was a joke though? I think maybe, but to me, I don't know, guys. I mean, again, this is like kindergarten stuff. This is where we feel so insane and gaslit and crazy because you have grown adults, people who are elected officials, people who are influential celebrities being like, this was just a comedian being a comic and we don't even have that anymore. And I'm like, but that's not what this was. Like, it's fine if you want to get upset that he was just saying something and being a dick and like saying his piece. That's fine, but don't make it like that was a joke though. Like that's my thing. So again, and you guys could be like, well, Taylor, it doesn't matter. It made me think of what's his name from Seinfeld, who caught heat for saying like racist stuff. Oh, hey, Adam Smith, who said the actor Kramer from Seinfeld, who said, I don't even remember what he said at the time, right? I think it was something like allegedly racist off the mic. But again, it's like, right, that's off the mic. Like that wasn't under the guise of a joke. Like, what the fuck? I feel like I'm crazy. Guys, I feel like I'm fucking crazy. What does Adam Smith say? Hey, Adam. It's the Jon Stewart tactic. Comedians like pundits until they get pushed back. I'm sorry. Comedians act like pundits until they get pushed back. Then they yell, hey, I'm just a comedian. Don't take me seriously. Yeah. That's the thing. And again, you guys know I'm trying to break out of the matrix. So I'm going, okay, there's somebody like a Sophia Bush, like this person, like that. All these people cry. Lance Bass, I saw Krishal from Selling Sunset. All these people being like, I'm getting rid of my Hulu Disney account, who are really offended by this and think that like this was a quote free speech, even though again the joke was literally nowhere to be found. Like I listed Detector Gadget, nowhere to be found. But you know what? Like again, this is where my whole brain is just literally in a Rubik's Cube, because when Dave Chappelle came under fire for trans jokes and all this on Netflix, again, those people may have been like, what I'm saying now about this, like, that's so inappropriate. That's so insensitive. And at the time I was like, it's a joke. It's a joke. Let him say it. So again, I don't know, guys. I'm just trying to peel it all back and parse it out and just jump off a bridge in the process. So this is how committed I've been to restoring comedy, and it was good comedy. God, I've said it so much. Like, guys, think about too, like, the American Pies, like even Animal House, which is allegory, like old school. I was watching a clip today from Dude, Where's My Car? Remember when they're in the drive-thru and it's like, and he's like, Ashton Kutcher's like the stoner cult movie. And Ashton Kutcher's like, I'm not playing your Chinese food mind games, lady. Again, I'm like, that would never fly today, because forget it, the Chinese lady as if it's, racist. forget about American Pie. Like now it would be misogynistic, all this. And it's like, what? High school guys just want to get laid. So speaking of old school, I actually interviewed Core Crandall, who was the creator, a couple years ago on Cancel Me Baby, talking about all of this. And it's interesting because in hindsight, I feel like Core, Ray Romano, when I interviewed him, they all kind of say the same thing, which was, and I also interviewed one of the co-creators of Friends, which is like My Religion, and they even said the same thing. Basically, how like jokes then wouldn't necessarily fly now. Would I go back and change them? Like maybe, but it's okay that it's evolved and that it's a different time. Like it's just par for the course. I'm not sweating it, But at the same time, it's definitely this air of like, yes, it was a little bit more of like the Wild West and uncensored and everything goes. I mean, think of like Frank the Tank with old school, like we're going streaking, all this. And, that was basically the essence of what Court Crandall said to me. In that, which was like, now there's some things that are gratuitous and maybe like I'll reel it back, that I used to would have gone for. And just walking that line now of like being forced and all this. And he was promoting his new movie Bromates. And even that, like, I don't know. I think it had like a climate change undertone. And I think the lead actor, I can't remember his name. He's a really good actor. He was from Get Out. So it's kind of, again, what they all do and like putting in these, I don't know, how do you say it? Like the diversity, right? And they'll say like, it makes it more realistic to real life and all this, but I don't know, call me old school, no pun intended, but there's a part of me that just really misses. I can't even remember the last time I just saw a really good raunchy comedy. I think the closest, to be honest, and this isn't to gas him up, but was Josh Duhamel's Buddy Games. Same thing. You guys saw him in my intro here when I had him and Kevin Dillon on, and Josh directed the movie, and we talk about it in the interview. And I'm like, this movie literally is so like politically incorrect and hits every taboo topic, like from the biological male playing on the women's volleyball team to like showing full-blown tits, like every single one. And same thing. And I told him the Ray Romano story, how he was like, people have to push the boundary or nothing will ever move forward, or evolve. And Josh Duhamel said, like, we all just have to lighten up. Like we have to lighten up their jokes. And that was so refreshing coming from him, who is, in the epicenter of Woketopia and in Hollywood and all this. So, speaking of the because I told him too, like in the movie, it's like you see girls with their tits out and they're talking about them and they make a bukkake joke, like all this stuff. I'm surprised that it was a little more of an indie movie, I would say. So it's kind of maybe a good thing that it flew under the radar because the feminists would be absolutely reeling. But speaking of, right, a subset of cancel culture beyond comedy that I've thought a lot about, that I was in the ring for, in the middle of the fire for, is all the Me Too stuff with men and women. And it's funny because I actually recently connected with a guy photographer, and he shoots like, everybody like from, models, OnlyFans girls, like more family lifestyle. And he's super talented. And we were actually oddly just talking about this the other day, and how in the height of Me Too, how he was like, I'm just like how I do. I navigate. I'm photographing these hot women and I don't want to be insensitive. And how do you do it? And what's kosher and all the etiquette and all this. Sidebar, I told him I've, for the most part, only photographed with female photographers. And I wish that, what's up, Pyramid 7? We're talking male gaze and cancel culture. You came at the perfect time. I wish that I was photographed by Matt. Even my Playboy shoot, I wish that a guy had done that. We had a woman do it, and I'm going to talk about that more. But there's something about the male gaze, and I told him this. I'm like, you guys just see us in a way that's like so hot and sexy that we don't even see. I told him, I was like, I welcome the male gaze. And I've told you guys my Morgan Freeman story, on this show, when we had a really fun back and forth kind of spontaneous jest and joking about my ripped up jeans, and an outlet, thereafter painted me as some like Me Too victim who was objectified by Morgan Freeman. And I was like, that literally is complete hogwash. And I was like, this is the very problem right here. Like, A, doesn't do real victims any service or justice, and B, like completely just withers away and chips away at like basic male-female like interaction. But because I was a ball buster, yeah, Pyramid 7, because I was a bit of a ball buster, right? I have had Pyramid 7. We're talking all about speech and Hollywood absolutely melting down, at Jimmy Kimmel losing his voice and losing his speech. And I'm just kind of in retrospect, looking at being so vocal about this and about speech, about cancel culture from within Hollywood, and my own stories with it, and my own writing, narratives, experiences being kind of shape-shifted for the narratives and for the PC narratives and all this. So I'm just going down memory lane with you guys on this Friday. Maybe help you put it all in context from behind the scenes, because we're seeing it now, obviously, on the grand stage here. But another one of my stories, I haven't told this story often, before I get to kind of the big shebang, which is the real of my Playboy shoot story, which I've never really told, and my Matthew McConaughey story, because I did see that he is doing this sit down with Megyn Kelly, and it actually looks really good. And he's somebody I've always given kudos to for like not being brainwashed by Hollywood. And yes, but my Charlize Theron story. So, because again, I was always quite skeptic and looking at the peddled narratives and what we were told to say and how to say it. And guys, it was so like discreet sometimes. It would even be things like, of course, like it goes without saying, when I was writing for New York Magazine and stuff like that, anything a celebrity would say, like making fun of Trump or, all that. But even deeper than that, like, again, stuff like why, it's important to see, Afro-Latina with one arm and one tooth and da-da-da-da at the front of the screen. But even like with men and women, like why women are suppressed, why women are put down, like even on the most micro levels, be it, our interviews, the writing, the headlines, like what we were told to ask, all this. And I'm not about that shit. I was like, don't tell me twice, okay? Don't tell me twice, Samantha. You're not going to tell me what I'm about to ask. Okay, you're right in these interviews. But my Charlize Theron story is really fascinating because she was promoting her movie Tully. And it's about like a single mom and all this. And I sat down with her. And again, it was similarly with Ray Romano. It was sort of like, I think it was before Ray, before cancel culture itself was really kind of percolating. But it was when Me Too was like, it was there to be seen. It was up and at 'em. And at that point, like, every male who you had ever crossed was like a walking demon on this earth who was going to cause you all your pain and sorrow. And women were just like angels descended from the heavens and, just perpetually, victims. And I think the director, if I recall, was a male. And Charlize Theron is super real. I really enjoyed her. And like kind of not here for the bullshit. And I asked her about it. I was like, how interesting in a time where men, especially in Hollywood, and it's really coming from Hollywood, are so demonized and, villainized of being so bad and smash the patriarchy and toxic masculinity and all this shit. And she basically said what I have been screaming from the rooftops, which is, it doesn't help us. I love that we had a male director, like bring them into the fold and help them understand women's perspectives, women's lives, like all of this stuff. And I pitched it to the outlet I was working for. That's the story I wanted to run with. And they came back and said, we have this great feminist movie. Like, why would you focus on the guy? Like, why would that be the angle? And I was like, that's really too bad, because you and I both know that every fucking story from here to the other side of the Mississippi was going to be, oh, Charlize Theron, this feminist movie, da, 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 da. Like, how refreshing would it have been to be like, you know what? No one's saying this in the conversation, but here's actually how she is, bringing a guy into the fold and advocates for that and says we should, and let's stop demonizing them and help them understand it only helps us. And they squashed it. Pyramid 7, not gonna lie, she's so beautiful. Yeah, she was super cool. So with that, I know that I'm running out of time here because I spent a significant portion, not only trying to resurrect PowerPoint and basically have a floppy disk and show you my Ray Romano interview, and also dissecting jokes from not and speech and free, which we get punished, and I like just the whole thing of again, the loss in the sauce mess of it all, and the mess that has been created and that's going on right now. But my Playboy story, I never really told it in detail, and maybe I'll leave, I'll do it now as best I can in a couple minutes, but it was so, first of all, it was unprecedented what we did. I spearheaded an initiative, and it was me and I believe 5 other female journalists. And I wanted to prove that women could be sexual, feminine, powerful, and intellectual. And so it was, I don't know that it's ever been done, period. Certainly not by Playboy, but we were all contributors, writers to the magazine and posed. And could you imagine any other outlet, and you had Vanity Fair or Glamour or whatever, showing their writers nude, right? Again, because of all this, it's oh, no, that would degrade them and whatever. So yeah, so I had pulled this together, and it was so, oh God, it was amazing. I remember that day we shot in this house in Pasadena. And that was what made this so cool too, is again, we all shot in a really artful pictorial, but we each wrote essays on free expression and being yes, we're sexualizing ourselves, objectifying ourselves, if you will, for you to look at. And we also write the news you read and help inform you and change your ideas of the current world. And it was so powerful. And I remember that day, showing up, and I was so nervous. I had butterflies. I couldn't sleep the night before. And once we were really in it, just looking around and seeing the girls and seeing the whole crew, everything from the food and the craft services, the photographers, the makeup, the wardrobe, all of it, and being I can't believe I did this. I can't believe it's all brought to life. And I remember everyone always asked me, how did it feel to get nude? And it was funny because in the beginning, oh, thanks, Pyramid 7. Yeah, it was funny because in the beginning, everybody, they gave us robes, and everybody was kind of shy, whatever. And then a couple hours in, toward the end of the day, you couldn't even get that robe near me. I was so liberated. I was I don't even want that thing. That doesn't even exist to me. I don't even know her. Right. So it was just really this empowering, I'll never forget it. And quite specifically, what made it so was that it was right on the heels and in the heat of Me Too and cancel culture. So not only in a time when people were getting shut down for their views or fired or deplatformed or censored, were we out there putting ourselves out there writing about being free and writing exactly what we thought, but about being women in this heightened time and being we're completely owning it. You don't own our narrative. You don't own that we are victims or this or that, and that sexuality does not negate or knock intelligence. And it was sort of cool because it was diversity without trying to be. We all look so different. We all had completely different stories. One or two of the girls were sex workers. I think one or two of them may have actually been survivors. I came at it from my vantage point, which is what I laid out in this episode. I've been in Hollywood, and I've had them cock block me time and time again, be it editors, publicists, entourages, whatever it is, trying to hang on so tight to their narratives, whether it be changing my words, whether it be suspending me, like VH1, the Chrissy Teigen story, you guys know, and just really advocating for ultimate freedom, physical, intellectual, all of it, just putting it out there. And, it was really a moment. Thank you so much. I so appreciate that. Yeah. So maybe one of these days I'll read the essay I wrote to you guys. Obviously, this episode today was very much haphazard. So I appreciate the oral dissertation at the beginning again of the Jimmy Kimmel madness, and protecting his speech. Everyone's melting down over and having existential crises over. But yeah, no, I mean, that's what I'm so proud of, is like not only what it was, but when it was. And like we risked everything, think about it, because especially in that time with those narratives so deep, we risked our professionalism, reputation, people taking us seriously. So to kind of just say like, fuck it and walk the walk and put it all out there, like no one can take that away from me or for any of us. And I'm still so proud of it today. So yeah, basically it goes to say, if anybody wants to check me about where I stand about freedom and all this, well, bitch, it's in the print. That's not so fine. It is not even the fine print. It is out there. I saw the magazine like on an airport, newsstands. It's all there. Here, read extra, read all about it. Like it is not hiding. It is there to be seen. So yeah, that's was a big accomplishment for me. So lastly is the Matthew McConaughey thing. And I think that this is actually like a good, nice little way to end it, because like I said, I saw a really cool promo that he did this whole long sit down with Megyn Kelly about all of this, like breaking out of groupthink and really kind of independently thinking and, being out of breaking free of the incessant way of thinking in Hollywood that I've seen from the inside. Hang on, Adam, I'm going to get to your comment in a minute. And do you guys remember a couple of years ago when Matthew McConaughey had talked about potentially running for government in some capacity? I don't know if it was governor. And I really appreciate, because he has views on both sides like myself. And I think he's like traditionally Democrat, but he's like a 2A advocate. But either way, like you guys know me. A lot of the times when celebrities try to do this, I'm like, pipe down, bitch, like, or dribble the ball and you get it. But, he's a very kind of, thoughtful, intelligent, obviously cares. And I really I was for it. I was like, this is an independent voice who's not in a box and not, prescribing to the dogma of one group or the other. Like, I'm here for it. And he kind of reflects that in his interview with Megyn Kelly, at least in the preview, right? And talking about like where he's going to go from here and all this. And I thought I would share my brief story with him, just to give you a little insight. Again, maybe like a little glimmer of hope of people who are sane, who are of influence and power, people like perhaps a Matthew McConaughey. And again, I know here I just really laid out like the dysfunction of it all. And yes, the mental Olympics of it all, but maybe this will ground you in some sanity and know that not everybody's fucking crazy. Before I do that though, Adam Smith. Does culture turn back to being more puritanical, or does it continue to be more liberated? Seems like it can't decide which way to swing over the last decade. Oh my God, Adam Smith. Ain't that the truth? I feel like that, I'm going to put a pin in that, because I feel like that should and could be an episode in and of itself. This is something that I have I've wrestled with at length. And I'm not going to lie to you. I said this in my episode yesterday, like what happened with Charlie Kirk has struck such a nerve. It's making people really reevaluate everything. And even me specifically, and personally, has made me reevaluate like all of this, my womanhood, my femininity, my sexuality, like all of it. Yes, just literally this. Unfortunately, I'm rapping, but this literally warrants a Nobel, a Pulitzer. Like, I love this question. I wish that I had like a nice, tidy answer for you. I don't know. I feel like it can't decide. I feel like it can't decide. And I've grappled with like obviously being too puritanical and people coming after like the Sabrina Carpenters and all that. I'm like, that's literally like, you guys need to unclench your assholes and let a woman be a fierce sexual woman. Like, it's fire, for knocking her for being like degrading and objectifying herself anymore and all this. Like, I hate that. But I have Yeah, exactly, another episode, but I have thought about the other side of, like, quote unquote too liberated, and is there such a thing, and at what point do women get a backlash from going too hard the other way? And obviously we've seen like decline in serious relationships and marriage and children, and like there's the whole thing of like, are they more unhappy, like just the whole thing. I don't know, like with everything I feel like a happy the balance. But I will also say that I have been so sexually liberated on and off camera in the last like 2-3 years that it's changed everything and has really allowed me to tap into my power as a female. And just I don't even know. It is Adam pit in that. It's going down. And yes, Pyramid 7, he sounds like a normal person. Okay, so last part of Glimmer of Hope for you is similarly to John Travolta, who I interviewed. Matthew McConaughey was such a class act stand-up guy. Like there was nothing, you want to talk about the dysfunction and the entitlement in Hollywood and the ass backwardsness of it all. There's nothing that would drive me crazier than when you as a reporter, as a person of the media, would show up to their event and they would show up like an hour late and be like, oh, sorry, like can't do any interviews. I have to go in. And it would always drive me nuts. Say it was like their movie premiere. I'd be like, you have to go in to watch the movie because what they would do is the red carpet, we'd do interviews and they'd show the movie. And I'd be like, okay, you have to like go watch the movie you were in. I think you know how it's going to go. Or when it was like a gala or a charity event of theirs, I'd be like, bitch, I'm here for you helping starving kids in Africa. And you can't even take 5 seconds. Like, absolutely not. So Matthew McConaughey, that was like when I interviewed, on the contrary, when I interviewed John Travolta at one of his movie premieres, he stayed and talked to every single reporter. And he even said to me like, and I made a note of it. I was like, no one does this. He was like, you're here for me. Matthew McConaughey was like that. So I interviewed him for Kubo in the 2 Strings. You guys remember that sweet animated movie he did? And same thing. I may as well have been like in the janitor's closet. I was like one of the last reporters in the line. The premiere of the whole event was starting and he stopped and talked to every single person. And me like going for the jugular right away. I was like, bitch, you have one question. You better just go in for it. And I think Kubo, similarly to what's that other one? The one of Day of the Dead with the Pixar movie. I love that movie. But basically it's very like philosophical movie about life, even though it's animated. Like it was very deep and, you know, very kind of like human and all this. So I think I'd asked him something like, did this movie make you think about your legacy and your time here on this earth? Like, okay, no pressure for the guy to answer in fucking 2 seconds. But I pulled up the article and I want to read you a little bit of what he said. Because I think also this was in 2016. Wow, this is almost 9 years ago. I'm reading this right now, by the way, for the first time. And again, I bring this up if you're just joining because he's doing a new sit down with Megyn Kelly. But again, it's like so nice to see like character, you know. And I will say, just as a sidebar before I read this, like Adam Carolla did a really great thing yesterday talking about Jimmy Kimmel on his show. And he basically says, like, I know Jimmy as a friend. And essentially, we've all kind of made a caricature out of everybody. Like, I know who he really is. He's a caricature to the right. You know, Trump's a caricature to the left. Charlie Kirk was a caricature to his assassin, like all this, right? So the way that he framed like the human nuance, I thought was really lovely. But anyway, speaking of that human nuance, here's Matthew McConaughey. He said, when I basically asked him his life purpose on a red carpet on AMC City Walk, okay, in Hollywood. He said, well, I'm still in it in process. I'm not going to call the shots. He had just visited the Olympics. He said, I heard it a lot when I was over the Olympics. People would remember this. I said, look, my hero is me in 10 years. He said he still has a lot of living to do. He said, I'm still writing my life story. It's getting updated day by day. Right now, I'm loving what I'm doing. Career's going well, being the best husband I can be and a good father, the best I can be. And I got a lot to look forward to. So I will just leave it at that. You know, as crazy and as upside down and confusing as these times are, I love this. It's sort of just like, be a good person. Like, it's not hard. It's like, yes, I'm still figuring it out. I'm sorting it out, but like being the best I can be and someone I'm proud of. And so I don't care if that means being like so inappropriate with like your comedy and like pushing the edge and cutting, like that's what we need. That's what I've always fought for, whether it's in your speech, your work, your art, your creativity, your music. I know there's a lot of you in my show who are who watch my show who are creatives. Like, I think at the end of the day, like again, if it is making jokes, like, can you sleep with yourself at night? Can you like, can you do it all in good conscience, and can you do it just knowing like I'm a good person? Whether it's showing your ass in Playboy or not. Guys, I hope some of this made a lick of sense. And all I can say is have a fantastic weekend. Thank you guys for being in the comments. Pardon my brain scramble. I blame it on many of entities. And thanks for joining for the ride. And I will see you guys all on Monday. Have a great weekend. Chris, how was your pee break?
My pee break.
They might flash you on the tape.
Wear them, baby.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me. Quite an intro.
Let's address the elephant in the room. That's not the elephant in the room. There's no elephant. Nobody cares.
But I too am a thought criminal.
Good. Well, I like you already.
Does this look like a girl who's joking around?
No.
Around?
But how much do you actually understand money? Especially the new wave.
Beauty or intelligence? When you unleash both, it is men's kryptonite. Welcome